our executive interview series. We're excited to have Hot Doug with us this evening. And the way we work the event is we're going to have some great conversation between Doug and I. We've got a few questions that we've talked about in advance. We will take questions from the audience at some point in time, but it's really going to be an engaging event. We're going to pick Hot Doug's brain a little bit. We're going to find out what's on his brain and where it's heading.
A very short interview, apparently.
But we're going to have some fun here this evening.
Absolutely.
So, Doug, thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
We're actually doing double microphones tonight, so if you're wanted by the feds, don't walk in front of the camera.
Oh, gotta go.
Oops.
Love it.
Yeah. So, as we look to start, sir, if you want to have a seat, you can go ahead and sit and put that on there.
Oh, there we go.
So, Doug, we're going to take this back for those of you who don't know the full story of before Hot Doug got into the restaurant business. Where did you first start it?
Well, eating hot dogs in Deerfield, Illinois as a kid. How this really started, I was a cookbook editor, and a coworker had a bad hot dog one day. It was a secret for a long time, and you know what? If no one knows the place, I'm not going to say it tonight because I don't know if there's a representative here from that establishment.
Yeah, we should probably not do that.
Yes, but I drive by there every so often and curse the hell out of it. And just kind of at the publishing company I was working at, a friend of mine comes in one day and says, you know, I had a bad hot dog this weekend. How do you make a bad hot dog? And that's where I foolishly said, you know, I think you can, and I think people do. And so a group of us from the office would go out for a hot dog every couple of weeks, for hot dogs, for fries, for sodas, you know, just sort of like a get together. And then we would write a little review, and these reviews kept getting longer and more absurd and very funny to us. And we probably ended up going about 50 different places.
50 hot dogs?
Yeah, absolutely, over the course of a couple of years. And each one I would start thinking, well, if I had a place, I like what this person's doing. If this person would just tweak it a little, that would be great. This person has no clue whatsoever. And just kind of put the idea together, and one day threw a little caution to the wind and decided to do it.
And just dive in like the rest of us, right? Head first into the deep end?
That's exactly right. Found a little spot that was right by my house, like 2 blocks from where I lived, that I knew the neighborhood was changing. This is in Roscoe Village. And just decided it was an incredibly small investment. When I see like restaurants now, like I realized, like, oh, I'm pretty sure that oven cost more than my first restaurant, and it's absolutely true.
Now, I think not a lot of people know that you are a culinary graduate from a local school here.
I went a culinary grad of Kendall College when it was a dump in Evanston. Although now it's downtown. National, it's changed a couple of times.
Right, they partner, I think,
with National Louis. That's right.
Right. So homegrown.
Sure.
Had a bad hot dogs, started eating hot dogs, went to culinary school.
Yep.
Right? And then we
Back
talked
to hot dogs.
Back to hot dogs.
Yep.
And then there was one book that was fascinating that you said that we should have everybody read.
Oh God!
Right?
Yes. Well, it's nothing to do with hot dogs, but I always
we gotta throw this in there.
All right. One of my 5 favorite books, you know, like kind of desert island albums or books or anything. One of my favorites is Tiffany's Table Manners for Teenagers. This very slim volume, but if every customer of mine had just read that book, I'd still be open. No, I'm just kidding. But I highly recommend it. I think it's still being published.
I'm sure there's a bootleg copy on the internet, right?
It's possible, absolutely.
Now in 2015, you got a visit by the great restaurateur Anthony Bourdain.
Yes. Is that earlier than that?
Was it too?
I want to say no.
Was it earlier than 2015? What year?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2012.
Because it was it was when he was doing no reservations.
Correct. I want to say it was closer to 2000. So I'm trying to think when I closed 2015. No, it closed in 2014. So that would have been a bad move for him to come in 15. So no, I think it was closer to like 2012.
All right, somebody's got the wrong caption on
there. Yeah, you know, what are you going to do?
All right, skip the date. But anyway, so Anthony Bourdain shows up.
The second time, that's right.
Yep.
Yes.
So Talk a little bit about the experience of having Tony in your restaurant.
So the first time he came in, he was on his book tour and I had no idea. And I looked up, it was like a Tuesday, like at 11, and I was taking orders. If you hadn't been to the restaurant, I was at the counter and there was like a line coming towards me, and one at a time people would come up. And I looked up and I saw him like 7 people deep in the line. And if you were there that day, the 7 people in front of him and the 7 people after him, I have no idea if you got your order right, and I really didn't care. Because it was this, if you're me or if you're us in this business at that time, he was the guy. I mean, if he came into your restaurant, it was like, that was a starstruck.
Sink or swim, right?
Absolutely. And we had a bunch of celebrities who come in, and chefs and movie stars and so forth. But he was the only time that I was like heart racing and hands shaking.
Get a little sweaty palm.
A little bit. Could have been nicer. And then a few months later, they called and said, we're filming. Can he come in? He wants to film it. I was like, of course. We set up, and I said, if he wants to come in, like right in, there was like probably an hour wait in line. I was like, we have a place for him. He's like, no, he wants to wait in line, which he did. So which was great, because when people would complain about waiting in line, I was like, Bourdain waiting in line. So that ended that argument right away. But he was just one of those, where you're always afraid to meet your heroes. He did not disappoint. It was just one of the real joys in my life, was that I got to chit chat with him and ran into him on a couple other occasions, and he was just so gracious and so flattering about the restaurant. It was just tremendous.
Well, and I had some opportunity to meet with Chef, and what an incredible individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when he calls your restaurant and your dog perfection in a dog, how did that make you feel?
It's pretty humbling. There's no doubt about it. Just one of those things. That's as good as it gets.
Did you go home and give like the wife the high five?
Yeah,
and be like, can you believe what Tony just said on us?
It's just one of those things you just kept reading that as like, well, there must be a typo. This can't be right. But it's an incredible feeling.
A lot of times we talk in the restaurant business, and we've got government regulations, right, coming down on us. We're not going to make this political, but there is one political story that we're going to talk about and share, and that's going to be the foie gras fiasco in the city, because you fought City Hall and won to a certain extent.
I like to think of it more as I ignored City Hall and kind of won with no effort on my end. Basically, what was the quick story? The city banned the restaurant selling of foie gras. I could buy it, you could eat it, I just couldn't sell it to you. Okay. It was just a botch from beginning to end. The alderman who introduced the ban to the city council was recently defeated in this last election after a number of years. And it was just this sort of cause célèbre of fascinating. Two things that really struck me. Fascinating to see how the city of Chicago politics really worked, up close and personal. And it really put an emphasis on, like, the foie gras argument, I think, is kind of a lazy argument. But the real question is one of the early questions of really knowing where your food comes from. I think is incredibly important, and to raise that to the forefront. But it was a fascinating time period. My favorite, there's a couple great moments during that whole time. One of my favorites, like waiting for an airplane at O'Hare, like right after the fine happened, and seeing my name on the CNN crawl as I'm waiting at the gate to get on the plane. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Another one of those moments in life that 18 years prior to ever starting this, you would have never imagined.
Just like crazy, yeah, any time. But people said, could you have, like, did you think this would kind of things would happen? It's like, I was really hoping he'd be open for 6 months.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I remember, and I think Eric Fine from the Illinois Restaurant Association is here.
He is here. I saw him.
And Eric brought me to the restaurant for closing. We were down there, and we waited in line.
All right.
And we got some great dogs.
Thank you. I appreciate
You
that.
know, so it was a lot of fun to see it. Now, I've been there many times before, but to see the line and the engagement from the consumer, right? And to see that loyalty. And now that you've stepped away, what do you miss about the business?
I miss that. I miss the I take it back. I miss the paycheck. I sometimes forget about that part. I miss the people. I miss the food. And people, not only customers, I miss purveyors. I miss those kinds of business relationships. And I made a couple of really good friends as a result of that. And really good friends as customers as well to this day. And I really miss seeing someone come in who's like, you know, oh, I actually ran into a former customer today, and it was great when we chit-chatted for a little bit. Seeing familiar faces come in, knowing like every Friday this group of retired gentlemen would come in every Friday, and you know, the Friday guys, and like seeing that and kind of developing those relationships. I miss that. The day-to-day running of a restaurant, the operations, no. Don't miss that.
So what you're saying is you're not missing the regular call off in the morning.
No.
And running short shifts.
Correct. Dealing with staff and dealing, you know, when stuff doesn't show up and right. Just like, you know, doors falling off hinges and like, why does it smell like that? Oh, because that cooler died. Right. Or walking in the morning in July and like, should be cooler in here. And then it's like, yeah, that's bad stuff.
Open the front door, there's no AC today, right?
Exactly, yep.
So you were a very unique style restaurant because you were cash only.
Yes.
So in a world today, if you were to open another restaurant, do you think you could replicate going cash only?
No, I really don't. I think I'd probably lean more towards cashless, like not accepting cash at all. Yeah, I just think, I just look at this trend and I don't see how, it's inevitable. I really do. I think you'll see the elimination of it. I just see, you know, ask anybody under the age of 25. They don't have cash. They don't have, you know, a $20 bill on them. You know, very rarely do you see that. And so, you know, it was definitely a young, you know, it skewed younger crowd. Now there's like, there's no way that I would do that again.
So when we look at that, would you, well, I guess the good part is, right, it would save you all that time of going to the bank and getting change, right?
There is that,
so it makes you a
yes.
little bit more efficient.
I think it'd be way more efficient. There'd be like, not like all the books, everything would be computerized, everything would be done. Right, there's no counting again, right, there's no dealing with that aspect of it.